Ellis. Okay, good evening. November meeting 2023 for the Astrophotography group for got agenda items here that were based on our feedback that we took the survey, and which caused us to work with issues of time of the night and day of the week. We also had the feedback that we ought to open it up with a couple questions. And number one was, is anybody having issues that the experts in this group can help out with? So I'm turning it to the floor. If there's anybody got something that I'm looking at a bunch of super brains here. So what can we do to help if there's anything?
Is this for newbies?
Anybody?
Newbies only?
Anybody? Anything?
Anybody?
Anything you
I have
want?
a question.
Okay, great.
Can you guys, all right. So first of all, Merrill and Steve, thanks a lot for the help you gave me with getting started in pixinsight. So that was very helpful. And so I've been watching videos and getting up to speed on it. So is there, so it looks like you're using your icons as a way to kind of document your workflow. So the order that you put your icons in on the right, is there I can tell that you can store your icons the way they're arranged on your screen.
Yeah.
So
As a
is
project.
there,
As a
yeah,
project.
can you share those? Oh, okay. So you save them, because I've been saving as just an icon file. And so every time I load it, it like jumps all over the screen and it doesn't go back to the same place. So
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll email you my project file and use it as you see fit.
oh, okay.
And modify. It's easy to just load it into your root directory of the pixinsight, and then
Mm-hmm.
whatever works for you. Then you can change settings or get rid of some, add some. But you gotta, when the screen's blank, nothing else on it, you save the project. I call mine template, and it's the basic workflow that I do. Our engineering buddy Brent is very specific workflow, but I'm a little more loosey than that.
Okay.
I'll at least give you that as a starting point, and just as you see fit. But
Right.
I will email it to you.
Okay. Thanks a lot. That's very helpful.
If you right click on your desktop, your pixinsight desktop, anywhere where there's not a photo, you can choose process icons and save process icons.
Mm-hmm.
And it
And
creates a
I've
file.
done that so far.
Okay.
So
And
I've
then
got some started, but I definitely have a lot of gaps in my workflow. So
okay, good. So that the process icons is what is the way to load and save those.
okay.
And Merrill has good ones.
Well, but I load it as a project. So when I load pixinsight, first thing I do, I go to load project. I got a project called template, loads them all over there. That just
Oh,
There's always more than one way to skin a cat on this.
That's right.
Pixinsight. It's got
right.
multiple ways to get at things.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, are there, any other things that while we got the group together? Hey, Keith joined us.
Yeah, Steve and Merle, I want to thank you all also for taking time to kind of go over things with me. I've started going over Adam Walker's videos also, and they have been a major help. Just getting my feet under me and starting working on some of his exercises. So I really appreciate the time you took. That has, I would have never gotten there if I didn't have those videos. It's pretty complex, but once you understand some of the basics, it works out very well.
That's what we're here for, and that's what Adam is there for. All the videos are for too.
The pixinsight interface is not intuitive.
No,
it's not well, to me, it's not well thought out. So you just got to struggle through and learn it, and then you'll be okay.
Yes. but you'll get it will get intuitive only because of repetition.
Mhm.
It's the way I think about it. So, okay, anything else before we go on to our main topic? Um,
Okay, I have one more hopefully
Sure.
quick question.
Sure.
When you have the when you create a starless image and you have both the starless and the stars image on the screen, after you manipulate them like you want and you put them back together, what is the correct pixel math to do that? Because I think I've seen people use just stars plus starless, and that's it. Then I've seen some that have the parentheses and some kind of square root function, and is
Hey, Brent, what do you do? Do you
So
just do the plus, or do you put any other settings?
I put it in the chat. So I use the function combine, and then it's the star image, comma, your regular image, and then it's an operation for screen. So it's OP underscore screen, open parentheses, close parentheses. And I found that on some YouTube video, and that I've just kind of always used it, but I found that it works well. And I think the screen option helps kind of keep the stars under control once they get added back in through that. But I can't tell you kind of scientifically what it's doing.
Okay, help me understand why would they be out of control? I mean, why wouldn't they just be directly what you see on the?
They should be. That's why, like I said, I don't know that I can tell you if it's better or worse than just doing a this plus that. It's just kind of what I've always used.
In Photoshop, you would use screen. That's the technique you would use in Photoshop. What about you, Meryl? What do you do?
Well, I just do the pixel math like Alan was talking about, just whatever the starless. I mean, it's M31 starless and your M31 stars, and then you just put them back together.
Do you do it with just the plus sign?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I didn't understand the square root.
Well,
yeah,
there are other techniques.
I had seen some, and it might have been Adam Black that I saw it on, but
Oh, okay.
it didn't use
That's right.
just the plus, just add the two. It was some.
Meryl, I think
different thing.
what Brent was getting at is they can be out of control. They can still be pretty thick. So, like I've seen people put percentages in there. So it might be like an 80% opacity, and that kind of dials them down a bit. There's a lot of games you can play with it.
Well, usually when I have the separated, I use the Bill Blanchard method of creating a starless clone, and then you use one of his scripts, and it's very, very easy. You just drag it over to it, and you just keep doing it the number of iterations you want. So it probably does the same thing. I don't know. I never thought about what you just said. That makes sense. But the Bill, if you haven't, if Bill Blanchard's a genius at pixel math. So if you haven't got his,
Okay.
go to his site, and he'll just download him. I keep him on my this project file I'm going to send Les actually has a couple of his routines, if you will, and I apply them when they're separated, and then put them back together.
Gotcha.
So gets to that. Yeah, also, I've got Brent's background fix that he showed us a few weeks back. That occasionally that is not bad.
It works, man. It works.
I'm good with the sledgehammers and pixinsight, so it's a pretty decent sledgehammer.
One thing I ask about the median. I asked the question. Okay, if it's less than the median, I actually put in a number, 0.15 or 0.14, so I can define the background my endpoint, rather than just assuming it's going to be the median. So just play around with that too in the pixel math. So, okay.
A quick note, real quick. John posted the other formula in the chat that I see a lot on it. That's the same equivalent as the function that I have, the combined with the op screen. It's just it's the exact same thing, just represented two different ways.
Okay.
And you take the you can make the instead of divide multiplication there, you can put a division sign, and that's what takes the stars out. So I usually take the image, I'll clone it, remove the stars out of the clone, then run this with the division sign instead of the multiplication sign, and that will take the stars out of the main image and create you just a star pattern. And then I can set that aside. Yeah, and then I can set that aside and do what I want to do with that, and I can do the starless whatever I want to do with it. And then I do put the multiplication back with the 2 panels I want, and it'll create a third image. I usually just create a new image, and it'll combine both of those.
Oh wow, that's clever.
Yes,
So I think that was part of Bill's stuff that he was doing, and I looked at his pixel math routine.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing as a screen function that he's got above there, and it's just a different way to do it.
Cool. We all learn something every time we get together.
So Brent, is that what you put in the chat, the combine, then the RGB stars, and comma image? The RGB stars is one image, and the one that says just image. Another.
Yep. You got it.
Image,
yeah, so.
And then what is the OP space or?
So that's just a parameter in the function that tells you to do it as a screen. I don't know what the other options are in that combine option, but it's just the one that I've always seen recommended.
But it's basically stars, comma starless, and then the piece OP screen.
Yes.
Okay.
And Steve, you mentioned it's like the Photoshop screen. I don't know what Photoshop screen is, so tell me what the benefit. What's that do for you?
Well, with Photoshop, everything's in layers. If I drop a star layer on top of just a nebula that's nothing but nebula, you won't see anything. Then you set that layer to be a screen layer, and then then it becomes transparent, and the stars drop right on the nebula.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this combined, Brent, this is in Pixel Math.
It's just one of the built-in functions in Pixel Math.
Someday I'd like to spend some time just going through all the formulas and what they all are.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I think there's so much power there. We would all benefit from that.
Yeah, other than screen, I think there's like 15 other things you can choose.
There's all the different functions of geometry.
One of them would be just brighten only. The other would darken only. Whatever you choose, you get to do. Yeah.
On this chat stuff, does this get recorded with someplace, or how do I make sure that people get access to what the chat here? That Steve,
I don't think it's part. I think we can just copy it and out of the chat and just paste in a text file, and then we'll put it in the description on the YouTube video.
Or share your screen with that chat open for a second.
Well, I did. Assuming that it records my screen, which it probably will. I did have it up, so I always want to make sure everybody has access to that. Okay. Cool. That's a great question and great answers. Okay. I asked John and Devin to share what they've done in Mosaics, and John has gone way above and beyond. So John can take over by hitting the share the screen, right? Did you make it so?
Delete that file too.
Yes.
So John, it's yours. Devin, you jump in.
Excellent.
There we go. This is what we want here.
There we go. Okay. Back to reverse. Mosaics, basically composite picture, overlapping, usually aerial photographs, astrophotography, pulling our stuff up in the sky, looking at clouds, basically. So what are they? Basically, this is the main scope I've been using lately. It's my GT71. It's got my little 533 at the back end of it, the guide scope, sitting on my EQ6 in the backyard. Telescopius, it's the sensor size is 11 by 11 roughly, 3008 by 3008, and focal length 420, 71 millimeter. And I got an 8x reducer on it. So that's what I've been capturing lately with stuff. So here's my scope and camera with Telescopius pointing to the Solar Nebula. This is what my field of view roughly would look like looking at the Solar Nebula. So it's like, oh, I can get it all in one shot. That's good. Now you look at, well, here is the Veil Nebula, which is your Cygnus Loop section. It's like, I can get it, but I can't get all of it. So I can go to either a bigger camera sensor, a wider field of view, or I can use what I have. So I've been using what I have. So I create a mosaic. Well, this is here is just with my T3i. If I put that on there, I can get most of it with the setup with my T3i, with my GT71. I still get a little piece missing at the bottom or on the one side. Either way, you kind of rotate the camera. I mean, I could probably mess a little bit and might get it all in there, but if I dither, it's going to chop some stuff on the edge. So, create a mosaic. So with my 533, I got a 4-panel mosaic. And you can export these out through Telescopius. So here's the 4 panels it has, 2x2 grid, gives you your RA declination coordinates, download it, import it into your control program, whatever you're using. You can add them manually or just wing it. And you'll find that I pretty much just winged it on the Cygnus Loop. Because when I started to get the Fleming's triangle, I kind of started with the West Veil witch's broom, and then I moved it manually over to the side and kind of framed it manually. And then it's like, oh, let me get the rest of it. So now I got to manually move the other side to get the second panel and move it down, get the third and fourth. So, and my camera got ripped in the process too. So that's always. So here's some examples. So if my GT71, top right corner, you get the Solar Nebula. If I use my C6, that's reduced to 6.3 focal ratio, I got to use a 6th panel. If I use my 9¼ edge reduced at f7 to 1645, I got to do 24 panels. And if I put my camera on Merrill's scope, I got to use 60 panels. So yeah, it's that's an all year adventure right there, I think. So now you got all your data, you got it all up. And now we want to throw it into pixinsight and see what we got. So I'm gonna go through the example I did with the 3 panels I did before I added the 4. So the way I've been doing things, I pretty much images need to be cropped. So basically got them stacked, threw them out of this stacker program with pixinsight or whoever. Go ahead and crop them, get the edges off. Because I dither, so I know people that dither, you're gonna have the edges gonna look like it's not all lined up perfectly, perfect stack. So you gotta trim those edges off. Got a background extraction. Rotate. I usually just do a rotation of the images to what they're going to kind of look like. So I know left and right side of the west, witch's broom you'll see there, and I got the east veil, which is going to be kind of oriented the same way that'll line up with the rest of them. I'll save all.
Can we ask questions? Where are you going?
Yeah, sure.
Well, how did you determine how much exposure each one? I mean, of your panels? Just what was the process you used?
What I did, I started out because of our little MAS.fits project, which it was your Fleming's triangle there, and I was doing 5-minute exposures.
Well, I mean, I said total time.
Well, what I was doing. So what I did, I had the little long and short of it is I got just over 40 hours roughly of the Fleming's triangle. I don't have 40 hours of the second and third panels. So my second and third panel there are roughly about, I think, just over 10 hours. When I added the 4th panel, it's about 10 hours. So I basically cut back the first panel. So I just took 10 hours of data from each panel. So kind of equal it out. So I don't want to have 40 hours stuck here, then 5 hours here, and then 10 minutes over here. And it's going to look kind of like, that's going to be a nightmare to work out. It's going to look great in one section. The other section's going to look kind of green, whatever. So I kind of like level the playing field of, and this example here, I think it was actually 25 minutes of actual data, or maybe 40 minutes a day, just to show you as the example here. So I'd make sure that each exposure set I've done for each part of the mosaic would be about the same time frame. Same exposure sizes, and then or length, and then the same number of exposures. So I pulled, I think for this when I did the final 4-panel one, I pulled. I had to go through and find the best ones out of the last set, so I ended up using 80 5-minute shots. So I went back to the first, second, third panel and went through and looked for the best 80 shots I can get to kind of match what I had in the last panel. So all 4 panel sets would actually kind of get equal on the quality across the field. I was on the struggle bus for a while trying to get that 4 panel.
Do you do one a night, or do you rotate through during the night, or what?
What I did was, since we did our lovely project, I had 33, 40 hours on the first panel. I didn't do any more after that. I did the second panel and started doing hours on that. So I got a little over 10 hours on the second panel. I think I got 13 total, I think, on it. And then on the third panel, which is the right side of the witch's broom section, I only got just over 10 hours of that. And then I did the fourth panel at 10 hours. And yeah, you do run across problems with that because you got different sky quality, you got different parts of the sky that you're actually imaging, that you got moon glow that you're going to be, even though you could be shooting narrowband. I'm using a dual narrowband filter with my Antia filter. It's a 5 nanometer for HA and O3. But you still get a little bit of sky glow if the moon's really bright. Try to target away from it. And that was when I was on the struggle bus for the 4-panel one, because one panel looked either too dark or too bright. And that's why I ended up having to cut back.
So that's actually the problem that I just ran into with my 4-panel mosaic as well. The first panel, I was shooting S2 and O3 during the full moon. And so when I put the panel together, you can see that panel there on the S2 and O3 is very fuzzy and grainy compared to the rest of it. And even though I've done a good job merging them together, you can clearly see the rectangle. So I need to go reshoot that again.
Yeah, I think what that long and short of what I learned of it is basically you probably want to shoot the panels closer together, time frame wise. So if you've got getting in the wintertime, you got about an 8-hour window, it seems. So you might be able to do 4 hours per panel on 2 different panels one night. And if you got another clear night, if you're going to do a 4-panel set, do 2 panels one night, 2 panels the next night. And they keep rotating through them, kind of even your data out.
It seems to me like you do an hour or 2 hours on one panel, switch to the next 2 hours, and then so they all kind of are the same on the same night.
I think moving forward, that's probably what I'll do as well.
Okay, that would seem like it normalize it.
Yep.
Yeah, it helps.
I've never done a mosaic, and I'm looking forward to it. That 48 frame one was one I was looking for. Yeah,
this here is the first mosaic I've done, and when you're just looking at a couple of shots, just to give you an idea what it looks like. Oh, look, there's no seam, everything looks balanced out and stuff. But then when you start stacking on the data over the time frame, because you're looking over a 3 or 4 month time frame.
Yeah.
You got a full moon in there, you got a half moon, a quarter moon, you got all that, and you may never had that stuff in one set, but another set may have had a lot of the moon stuff, and it starts showing its head when you start doing a lot of this stuff. So
am I hearing this correctly? It might be better to, like, say you're doing 4 panels, just to image those 4 panels in one night, get what you can out of those 4.
You can, and just keep going every night. You can cycle through them,
rotate through. But
would that be recommended? Is that what we're recommending?
I think so.
Okay.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, I would look at the number of panels you got. I mean, if you got a 8 or 9 panel set, that might be kind of hard to do that in a night. So you still want to chop it up and take some of the major panels you're going to look at and do groups of panels over the night, over several nights. And hopefully you get several nights in a row that you can do the same quality, no moon or anything like that. But when stuff starts getting out of whack by way of now I got to get toward the full moon, you might want to go shoot something else and come back to it afterwards. And the next month when the moon's kind of away from stuff.
So when Merrill does the Bernard's loop, he won't be able to do that.
No.
About 4,000 shots.
Yeah.
Well, my general rule of thumb is 20 hours minimum. So if it got 8 panels, how many hours is that?
Yeah.
Well, it'd probably be 50 panels in your case.
Yeah, okay.
It would probably be about 3 years worth of data. So
yeah, that's my life. That's my life's work.
A lot.
Hey, John, I assume that you did not rotate your camera kind of at all over the period of time that you've been messing with here, but I'm curious about that. I mean, ideally, you
Well,
wouldn't mess with it while you're on the project, but I'm
you'll
curious if there's
see.
ways to align things
Oh,
properly if you aren't quite
you,
aligned.
no, you'll see here in a second.
Okay.
Everything looks good right here, but yeah, that camera got rotated in there. Believe it or
Okay.
not,
That's
it's
yeah,
not like I
I
went up
ran
there
into
and
that
forcefully
issue.
going. Yeah, it's not like I went after and go, okay, I need to rotate the camera 30 degrees for this shot and 10 degrees for this shot. It was more of an accident because I went to go do something else with the setup, and I had to see if I can put a different filter in, and I had to unscrew the camera off it. And there was like, oh, you can filter. So I put the camera back on, and when I got the stopping point I went a little too far, and everything got rotated probably about 5 or 10 degrees, or maybe a little bit longer. But you'll see what as we go along. So you're basically got your stacks. You got them background extracted. I just did a little orientation to get me what it's going to look like, make sure everything's kind of lined up, make life a little easier. Save your files, because this is another little struggle I ran across. So next off is you're going to do plate solve your images. So you can do them by view, or you can do them by file when you do the image solve. This was part of some of the struggle bus I was on. If you do it by view, my fourth panel would not plate solve for the life of it. It would always fail, always fail, always fail. I spent 3 days trying to get the plate solve, and it always failed. I flipped the switch and go, okay, fine. I got them all saved, active. Take it off the active in the list of files. I put all 4 files in there. Guess what? It plate solved. Go figure. Give it a file that plate solved. So you get your list of files in there, and you basically, you can do your coordinates, what you got to do, and then get the little files, give you your what you're trying to do, and push a little button, let it plate solve. So this comes in. So I'm doing the Cygnus loop for this the whole region. So I went ahead and searched for Cygnus loop. My focal distance at 336 millimeter. I got 3.76 micrometer on the pixel size, and fair dimensions. Everything else is, I think, pretty much distortion correction. Got that checked off in case you get kind of distorted at the edges of your frames. It helps correct all that. And then you got your reference system to let it go. So then it's going to create a same file in the same location where you had with the WCS underscore WCS on your file. So there's my SIG1, which is the first panel, second panel, third panel, and then you have the WCS files for each one. So that's the WCS is your plate solved image. So we go to the next one. Now we're going to do a script called Mosaic by coordinates. So basically, run the script. You're going to load those files in, the WCS files. You're going to put those into the Mosaic by coordinates. You're going to go and give it the projection. I use a genomic. One of the videos I ran across, that's what they were using, and left it. And then check the little coordinates by the center of the mosaic and click the calculate button. It will read in the files that you have in the list, and it will figure out where the center of the actual mosaic is going to be. So then that will populate that what it's supposed to do. And then you have an output folder where it's going to put, and it'll have a suffix that's default underscore register. That's what it usually has. You can make it whatever you want, and you can change it. And then you're going to go OK. You're going to get a little warning pop up, and it's going to say the resulting image is going to be, kind of big. You're going to say OK to that.
So is that pixinsight action, that mosaic one? Okay, this may be answering my question. So it's going to go ahead and do the slight rotations that it needs to do the alignment.
Because what
it's
doing is this. Yeah, it's looking at your images that you got in there that are now got your plate solved coordinates in it. It has now figured out where the center of your panels are going to be for your whole mosaic, and those where the center spot is. And from there, it can base off where each panel is going to be at. And now you'll see where I have rotation in panel 2 on the top right corner, and actually bottom left corner, I had rotation in that one as well. And so now when it'll have this, in this case, I had 3 files, and you open up and you got a lot of black area, and that's where the rest of the mosaic is going to be populated at. So this is where that panel is going to fit in that mosaic on each side. You got top left corner, top right corner, and then the overlap on the bottom left corner, but all the other area is black around. So you got the registered files loaded in. This here is, I just added in this a few days ago. I did do it This is DNA linear fit. It's an intensity mapping. This helped me get off the struggle bus from one panel being too bright or too dim. So this one here, I ran across this, and let's see what guy, David Alt, he had the website, and I got the link there for his Google Drive. He's got posted in there that you can go get his little script. It's called DNA Linear Fit. You'll just throw that into your scripts folder. You'll import the script in with the feature script, press add, point to the pixinsight script folder, press select that folder, and then press OK. It'll find the script, add it to it. So you've loaded your registered images by Mosaic by the coordinates results. You got them all. Now you have to load those into your pixinsight. Make sure this image, your images are saved. I usually have the same screen transfer stretch applied. So if you're going to do, it's not just going, here's my 3 images, let me screen transfer each one of them. You take screen transfer one of those, and you're going to take that and basically apply that same screen transfer to the first one, to the second and third as well. So they're all kind of like the same. One screen transfer for all 3, basically.
So you want to do the mosaic pretty early in your processing. You want to mash it all together and then do all your processing on it.
Yeah, and so
that's what I do. So it's even across the board.
Right. If you want to do everything up front by way of, let me do this image, this piece, and let me play with the colors here, play with the colors, and then you put it all together, it's going to look really weird.
Yeah, I was getting some weird gradient when I tried to process each individual frame before putting it all together into one.
Exactly, because when you separate process and throw it together, it's going to be like, it's hit and miss. You might get lucky, you might not. But the DNA linear fit, what it's going to do is it's going to go. It's almost like if you've done the linear fit process on your RGB images, so they all now you basically look at the stats of it. You'll see who's got the lowest number, and you're going to match that. So the other two's going to match it. Or the highest number. I think it's the lowest number across the 3. Then you just basically linear fit. I say the red image has got the lowest, and I'll take the red data stats and then apply that to the green and apply that to the blue. So now all 3 are now quote linear fit. You can't use linear fit at this stage because it's going to be either make your image blank or some weird crap. So the DNA linear fit here, the guy wrote a script to fix all that. So you're going to do the same thing. You pick your reference image, and then you're going to apply that to your other images. So I chose my Cygnus 1 registered image as my reference, and I basically target viewed the second image, and basically left that mean median and the reject high. I think that's a default of 0.92. Hit OK on that. Run it again. Select image 1 as my reference, and then image 3 as my target. Hit OK on that. Just repeat till all your images are done. So it's almost like your normal linear fit, but now you're doing it across the whole panel. And it does even out a whole lot better. And it's now you're going to save, once you're all done with that, you're going to save all your images back to the same location. I usually just overwrite the register. Now you're going to do the step 4, which is gradient merge mosaic. This is where your mosaic is going to be merged from those 3 or 4 separate panels. It's going to merge into one. So you basically go in and you'll navigate to where your registered images were saved at, created. And you're going to select the files, throw those in, add them into your list. I choose the overlay. And down here, you got a shrink radius. So if you didn't crop your images to begin with, there might be some jagged edges. The color could be kind of jaggedly along there. I usually do a crop mine once I get rid of all the artifacts on the side. So you can usually leave this as default. You might have to feather it, and that feather radius is what it's doing is looking at the overlay of your 2 images, and it's going to try to blend those 2 together. And so, one problem you'll run across is if you have a star on the edge of one of your images, and you don't feather it right, it's going to look kind of weird. It looks almost like a comet at that point. It's like, what the hell happened? And I had one that kind of lightened the whole image up. It was like, what is it doing? And that's when I found that star was too close. So either prop farther in or increase your feather radius, usually like this 60, 80. And then shrink radius, I might have bumped that up to 2 or 3.
What's the dimensions? Are those arc seconds, arc minutes, pixels? What is the radius?
I think these are just pixels.
Pixels?
When you're talking feather, you're talking pixels.
Yeah.
So
With that shrink radius, I read that kind of like the sweet spot is 5 to 10 pixels to kind
Yeah.
of to counteract like dithering and whatnot and any offset.
Yeah, I trimmed my dither sections out in the
Mhm.
beginning when I crop it. So this is why I can probably get away with 1 or 2. But yeah, if you don't do that, you're going to go to a higher shrink radius, and then you're going to probably do a bigger feather radius as well across it. So you're trying to level everything out between your 2 different panels. So now it spits out your lovely little image, and you'll see where I got rotation and a couple of the compared to the first one. I have a little rotation, but it's all seamed together. There's no crease, there's no little gaps missing. That's the biggest thing I was worried about, was since I was eyeballing this from instead of using the actual coordinates on Telescopius or any other program, because I started out not having the coordinates to begin with. And I just had to go, let me go here, let me go down a little bit, let me go over to this side a little bit and all that, and just piece it all together. So it just spits it out. Now at this point, you're still in linear mode. You can do your rest of your process. If you have RGB stars that are separate, and you can do your star alignment now between your stars in this image, so they line up, and you'll create you a aligned star pattern. Remove the stars out of this, process to your heart's content, and throw your RGB stars into.
So are you doing? Are you doing you'd basically be doing a mosaic of the stars as well? So like if you're doing narrowband, you'd technically need to do 2 mosaics.
Mhm.
Yep. So what I did with
wait, if you do that though, how do you line the stars back up?
star alignment.
So
Okay,
that's what he's saying. Before you take the stars out of this mosaic right now, you mosaic your RGB stars together.
Okay,
you
good.
start align it with this current image here, and then once that's the RGB stars are aligned, then you remove the stars from your actual mosaic, overlay the stars up.
Yeah. So what I did once I had all my images done, I went back to all 4 one night and did. I think I originally did 15-second shots, and I did like 60 of them for each panel. So it took me about dither and all that time. So it took, I think, about 40 minutes per panel. So I spent a couple hours doing at that time all 4 panels to RGB stars, and then that they're all aligned the same. I just make sure that set pixel wise is just a tad bit bigger going to be than what you have. You don't want to get kind of smaller in, otherwise you're going to get this side here get cut off. You don't want to cut off what you already got here on your main mosaic. I don't mind losing stars off of the RGB stars. So then I just star line RGB stars. When I had that mosaic completed, then I star aligned it to this. So I use this one as the reference, and my RGB stars is the target. So once they got aligned, the target gets chopped off to match up what you got here, which is really going to be the 4-panel one here. So this one matched up with the RGB stars and stuff like that. So this was the 6-hour mosaic set. So that was 6 hours for each panel I went through. Then I had the 15-second for the RGB stars, 60 shots for each little panel. So you end up doing the mosaics twice, one for your stars, once for your main data. Star align, remove your crappy stars, your narrowband stars out, process to what you want. Then you can do your, I did a little formula we posted in there. You can redo that and add them back. And I didn't have to shrink the stars or anything, because I barely, I did the easy soft stretch on the stars, and then I basically went into which one is it? The color transformation one of it is, and basically just boosted the saturation on them. So then they got brightened up, little brighter colors on it. Saved it, set it aside, ripped them out of the mosaic side. Process this. I think this is the 4-ax palette script that ran to this, and then when I was done, just put them back, and there you go. CDs 1, 2, 3, 4.
How long did it take you? This is your first one, so it's going to be the worst one.
Yeah, well, you look at how long it take me for data gathering, or just actually doing the actual mosaic.
The actual processing.
The actual processing here, in the beginning, doing the hardest part was, once I got the mosaic done, is looking to see that this panel, the bottom left panel, was too dark. Then I ran it again, it was still too dark. And I ran it again, and I was doing different settings. It came out too dark. I went back to, actually went in to put 12 hours in the bottom left corner for the east veil. And the other one had 10 hours. And then it was too bright. Then the background was brighter than the other ones. I'm like, I'm on the bus still. I'm still on the damn bus. Can't get off the bus.
Mhm.
And then I decided, well, let me cut back. And I looked at all my data, went through the subframe selector. And that's basically, it shows a range of from here to here for the full width half maximum and for the star count and I think the eccentricity. And I'm like, okay, I'll take this whole section. How many do I got? Well, my least number, panel number 4, which is barely got any data in it for way of the nebula part, was I had the max I had of those was 90, I believe, or no, 100, 120. But once I got down and cutting out all the batter sections, I got down to 90. I figured, okay, 90. Go to the first one. First one I had 498, so I had plenty to choose from. Second one I had 127, had plenty to choose from. Third one I had 125, I think plenty to choose from. Best ones I can get was down to 80. So now I had to cut 10 out of the fourth panel. I had to go back and so every panel getting it with 80 shots. Put it all together. Press all the little buttons. Did the DNA linear fit. Went through it and came out. And in reality, it's still just a tad dark in the bottom left corner, but it's harder to see. So I'm like, yay! I'll take this. I was on the struggle bus for like 3 weeks. It seemed on trying to get this damn thing done.
3 weeks, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so, but now, and and then you start looking at what could you do better, what happened, and that's when I started realizing it's like, well, it helped as when I do my next mosaic, is instead of just one panel for the whole month, 2 months, and then do another panel all that time frame. Just you need to break it up to say, I'm gonna do this first panel, do a couple hours on it, go to the second panel, do a couple hours on it. If I got a third or fourth panel, I might do 2 nights and do several hours, and you can get all 4 of them done within a night or two, and just repeat that over and over and over until you get the number of hours that you want. Then this way, once you get your first initial set done, you can do a quick mosaic, throw it all together, see how it's going to look.
Right. But it was so complicated. You found yourself having to use subframe selector to just actually reject on manually on your own some of these, huh?
Yeah, because I had some of them where when I get below 30 degrees in the west, I am now shooting over Olive Branch in Memphis.
Yes, right.
On the east side of Olive Branch, so it starts lightening up some. And I've also got a guy's house. When his security lights in the front pop on, I'm pretty sure that would probably, when I'm getting kind of low to the horizon, it probably adds a little dirtiness into it. It gets lighter. And when you have 498 5-minute shots to go through, it kind of levels it all out. When you only got 90, you've got, got to make it hurt. Go through and just take out some of the worst ones to get the better data. And you're trying to get that matched across the board. For all your panels now are in the same range of, from 1.5 to 3 on your full width half maximum or something like that. But all 4 panel sets of data is in that same range. I don't have ones in the 6s and 7s or 8. Those are all just wipe them out. Set them aside. Just do what I got to do here.
Yeah, well, that's clever.
Yeah, so this is my setup. So I have the middle one's what I've been using lately for most of the stuff is the my GT71. The left side is my actually a Celestron 6SE. It's a 6-inch Celestron scope. I've done that. I've got it reduced down to supposed to be 945 millimeters, but with my camera's a little small, so it makes it like a little 1050 range, I believe. And then the right side is my 9 1/4 edge. And that gets me closer to a Merle. Merle, yours is what, 2600 millimeter roughly range?
2563.
Yeah. And this one here, my edge of that 10 is at 2350, reduced down is 1645. So it's around almost 1700 millimeters, and I got the little smaller camera on the back. So I'm getting close to your field of view. But since your scope is bigger than mine, I do like to pick on you. That's why I always say, oh, look, Merrill's little field of view is like a star only. So
that's right.
Well, tomorrow I'm supposed to receive my new camera, copying Brent and Devin's cameras, with a reducer that gets me down to 1691. So
Nice.
That's not too bad.
In that range.
Yeah, it'd be where I'm at reduced on my 9 1/4 because I'm at 16. supposed to be 1645, but I'm thinking on the 1690 range, I believe.
Yeah.
Because my little 11 millimeter by 11 millimeter sensor that's on the 533. And that's what I've been doing. Did the galaxies on earlier this year, was using that scope there. Now I've taken the reducer off it, and I'm waiting to do Jupiter and Saturn, and the lovely other project here got in the way at the front. Plus now Jupiter's in a better position for me. Saturn's getting where I need to get it done, so I can at least get Jupiter and Saturn done. Now, throw the reducer back on it. And, get going again on that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, questions? I mean, we've been asking questions all along, but
I just gotta say, well, shoot, now I got even more work to do now that I see what's possible.
Well, Devin,
Yeah, I've already gone. Yeah, I've gone through Telescopius and looked at. Well, I'm going to do I thought I was going to just do a two panel of the Sol Nebula with the 533 and the GT71 there. You know, I can almost fit it into one panel. I figured I'll do a 2-panel shot, and it's like, well, the Heart Nebula is right next door to do it, so I think I'm doing a 6-panel. I think I got that set up as a 6-panel set for both of them together.
We may have to do a little collab, John. My William Optics puts me at almost exactly the same focal length as
you got
yours.
the Red Cat.
No,
Oh, you got
I got the
GT1?
Ferrari. Yeah,
Oh, the Ferrari.
yeah, I hit at about 338 millimeter.
That's pretty
with
much. Yeah, I'm at 336, 337ish. I think is what I got right here.
But I got your scope. I got your scope.
With the smaller sensor with the camera, it makes it just a little bit longer, but it's in the reach.
For those that have ASIs, the ASI can generate the same files. It can generate mosaics, and we'll export that to a plan, and then you can run from there.
So that's actually what I had to do because I ran into the issue. We were talking a little bit about it in Slack, but I used Telescopius to plan out my mosaic. And it was just supposed to be a 2-panel side by side. And then somehow, I don't know in copy and pasting or what happened, but it ended up being a little offset. And so I was missing data up in the top left corner and the bottom right corner. And I used the ASI error mosaic planning to solve that. So I think I'll be using that from now on.
Yeah, I don't have the ASI Air. I've just got a little mini PC stuck on there, and I'm using Astrophotography tool, APT. And they say you can take the Telescopius and import the data in, but it didn't work. And it creates an XML file, and I was able to recreate an XML file with the coordinates that are coming from the Telescopius and the CSV. And was able to make it look a lot better coming into my plan side. So.
Yeah, when you play around with ASI Air's Mosaic Planner, you notice that depending on where you are in the sky, the region of the sky is a big deal when you're doing mosaics. Some regions, there's a pretty significant angle change.
Yeah,
even when you're going from one panel to another.
Yeah.
So that's the ASI Air is all over that, and they're going to launch the auto field rotator. So when you put in the coordinates, you won't have to think. It's just going to give you perfection with the.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, I know. I don't know.
Man, this was.
I talked to. I've talked to a few of their testers, and they're just saying we're wondering why it's not launched. It's perfect. It's working.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's gonna be a game changer, and even Nina's going to be all over that as well.
Yeah, that's what I plan to go to is Nina next.
Devin,
I wasn't planning to tackle a 4-panel mosaic quite yet, but I'm having to.
I just finished up my heart and my soul, so now I'm like, well, shoot, now I just need to go shoot open space in the top corner and bottom corner and fill it out.
So that's what I was working on until I realized that my oxygen data isn't the greatest. And if you guys actually want to see, I can share my screen with you.
Sure.
I'll show you what a full moon does.
John's got to stop sharing.
Yep.
Yeah, it's on the gotta get the other screen.
While he's pulling that up, John's mosaic's right behind him.
Well, that's actually the Western Vale side. That's a 2-panel one I did earlier while I was joining together. So it's like I just throw it up there.
So I don't know if you can see this top left corner right here, you can see that outline of the panel.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you
See heart and
zoom,
soul.
if you zoom all the way in, you can even tell the difference of the data. So this is all good data right here. And then when the heart comes up into that, that's from the moon.
Ah.
Just awful. And then you can see even up in the top here, that's where I think the moon glow is coming from. So that's what happens.
Yeah.
And not only do you got to plan your mosaic, but now you got to plan the time frame around the moon. Stay away from it.
Yeah.
Moon and mosaics. Avoid them, huh?
Yeah. Make your life easier.
Okay. Any other questions for John or Devin before we move on?
Yeah, Meryl, I think you got a
Question.
copy of the presentation, so you can give that to everybody, whoever wants it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind getting that link to the what did you say, DNA linear fit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that. I've never heard that. That's going to be important. That's an important.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I guess my question with that is, John, you were shooting in one-shot color, right? When you were using that linear fit. With us who shoot in narrow band, would we have to linear fit? So like with my 4-panel HA, would I have to linear fit all 4 of those panels together? And then once I created my 3 master mosaics, then linear fit all 3 of those together?
Oh, wow. Good question.
Know what I mean?
I would expect so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't linear fit mine at all until I got to the adding it into the mosaic when I did the DNA linear fit. I mean, I could have separated out the HA and O3 and did that, but you're basically linear fitting your one data set from your one stack. When you go to the second stack and try to linear fit that, it doesn't like it because it can't. It's like it wants to take the data from one and add the other, so it always blanked out the screen on me. So I'm like, okay, fine. Where the DNA linear fit, he's got it in there where actually we'll do it. So you can. I don't think you have to worry about doing the actual linear fit. You probably do the DNA linear fit on it across the board. You just have to sit there and play with it. So.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take John's PowerPoint and put it on the Astrophotography channel that way.
Devin, how long did it take you to do yours?
Oh, do you want to know?
You just had 2 panels.
Wait. Are you asking for my integration time or how long it took my laptop to put it all together?
No, you're done with WBPP and then you're trying to mosaic. How long did that take?
36 hours.
Okay. So yeah, so that's a good lesson for all of us. It's going to be a time commitment.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
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 That's why you have multiple computers running pixinsight.
Particularly when you do Bernard's loop, Steve. Okay.
But
Meryl, Keith asked me to show how to reset your password.
Yeah, that's on my list. I mean, I got a few housekeeping.
Okay. Let me know when we get there, and then I will share my screen.
Go ahead. I mean, yes. Let's go ahead and do it now.
It's pretty easy. Let me show them.
Okay. Tell us the background of why we're doing this and what do we have to do?
Well, basically, that server is exposed, and your personal information, not really personal, but your work is there, and you don't want that to be stolen or modified or anything. So we put some rules for passwords and changing the password. So so we can be in better shape. So if you, what is my screen? Okay, let me minimize this.
So Freddie, we're in our FTP software. We're logging in, and it just says, sorry, we're not letting you in. You have the wrong password. This is what we're going to have to do, right?
No, you have to do that before the password is expired.
Oh, okay. You got to get on it.
Don't wait for it to expire because we will have to reset that for you.
That's good information.
I can see my party screen now.
How do we know it's going to expire?
Because they will expire on December 31st.
Oh, okay.
So you should change it before December 31st.
This is for the FireZilla, like the file sharing?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Which is really important. We need that drive to share a lot of data. We've been using it
Let me
quite a
stop the sharing because it moved my screen to the other. Okay, share. Body. Share. Okay. So do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, let me restart the session. So you log in with your login and your password. And then you are on the server. Well, the way to change the password is type pass WD. And that you put your current password. I'm gonna force mine to fail because I don't want to change the password. Well, it will then ask your current password and they will ask for the second password. And the rules for the password, I don't have them on hand, but I will post that on the chat. It has to be 12 characters. It has to be one number, one sign, one capital letter, and one or more lowercase letters, okay? And that's it. Then you will be one more year without needing to change the passwords unless you want to change in a given time.
So how do we get to that point where you had this screen?
You need to load your PuTTY client. You should have used SFTP client in the past when you first logged into the MAS server. Didn't you?
Was that before yesterday?
Yes. Let me do something. I'm gonna make a small document where it will show you everything, so you don't get lost.
That would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, and I will post that on the
okay.
I will say it will be on the general channel.
Okay.
So how does the secure logic work, Freddie? Like if I change it on December the 20th, is it going to stay good till December 20th next year?
Yes, it should. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. If not, well, anyway, if you have a problem with the password, I can reset it. It's no big deal.
Okay.
That'll be fun. I like bothering you, Freddie.
Okay. Well, thanks for that update. Next item I had December meeting. Being December 20th, I propose we skip it and just meet in January. We're going to start January on Thursdays at 7. The same third Thursday. This was remember last meeting we decided moving it to Thursday versus Wednesday. So, and hopefully Ann will join us. She's kind of one of the drivers that couldn't be here. So, and Brent, that works for you. So,
good.
Okay, we will skip the 20th of December. Just a couple of quickies. You saw the note I put on about the telescopius changes. If you haven't done it, it's really slick. I mean, the database is just immense. You get a whole lot more targets, but you can download the whole extended database by one of I think it's application settings, and then the clicking. I mean, you can go through targets instantaneously because they're on your drive, as opposed to going back and forth with the internet. And so I found that it's the vast number of targets you won't go wanting to pick a target. So it's Sebastian did a really nice improvement there.
He did. Yeah, it's great. I want to do a Messier marathon and I wanted to pull data for first day of spring. And I told Sebastian, I'm really angry about this, jokingly. And he said, next I'm going to fix it next time around, and it's fixed. So you were limited to exporting like 100 items a day, and now you can do pretty much infinite.
It's worth exploring if you haven't done so. I have Steve to update us on a couple of things with the Theater Memphis and the commercial appeal, and so take it away, Steve. Anything to bring us up to date?
Well, it looks like let me share. What did I share? Here we go. So John Bifus is one of their lead reporters in Commercial Appeal, and I sent him a press release on Pickering's Triangle. And he said, that does sound interesting. I might want to write about that. If you don't hear from me in a few days, please feel free to call me. And he gave me his number and badger me because I'm likely to get stuck on some other nonsense for the newspaper in the intro. So that was kind of fun. So it looks like, he and I are going to talk next week, and we're going to get us an article in Commercial Appeal. I sent a press release out to every local paper and all the TV programs. And for all I know, some things might have already been published. I'll check into that. And I sent there's a couple. Have you guys ever heard of APOD?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I found out the two guys who make the decision on that. So I sent them that image saying, it's a group project, I mean, it's good old people getting together. This is worthy of a day. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, before you leave, who was able to go to the last Friday's general meeting, or Zoomed it? Did anybody see it? I know Les was there.
I zoomed it.
Yeah.
I was not there.
Here's the funny thing. When Bustler was going through the slides, one of the articles in the Commercial Appeal from 30 years ago was written by the same guy you're talking to.
That's right.
30 years ago.
It's either that or his son with the same name.
Well, it would be more than a coincidence, but that just same guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that'll be fun. When that happens, I'll let everybody know. And in terms of, I'm going to write another release for the Theater of Memphis. The Theater of Memphis president contacted Merrill initially, and then Merrill got me on board. And basically, she turned us over to their marketing, and we organized getting all those images over there. And I can't. This marketing guy went nuts. I mean, Devin, Brent, and Merrill especially. They just couldn't believe it. Took their breath away how great the images were. And I went to the play, and I was watching people just oohing and ahhing over these images that are on their walls. And so good job, you guys.
Yeah, well, didn't you say you're going to do a press release on that too? Or
I am going to. I'm going to get some quotes from their president at Theater of Memphis.
Yeah,
and their head of marketing, and see what happens with that.
Cool. The only other thing I had on my list, Steve, was, I'm going to pick on you again. You were talking about this multi-scale sky reference survey that you think that's going to be a game changer.
It is, and I think I want to spend more time on that, Merrill.
At a different time.
Yeah, because we're at 9:20.
Yeah.
Okay. The short of it is they're doing their own personal project rather than relying on the European space agencies like they have been for a lot of this data, and it's observational data mainly, which I thought was interesting, and it's going to help for those. It's going to help with the gradients. It's going to help with star sizes, and it's going to be similar to an SPCC process that I'm told is going to solve a lot of problems that weren't solved with using calibration frames and things like that. So,
wow.
And they're in their infancy, and they say this is one of their projects that every year is going to get better because they're getting more and more data, and they're adding to it constantly.
pixinsight is from 7 or 8 years ago when they first came out. It's gotten so much easier to use because of all these fabulous tools.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all I had. Anybody else have anything before we close the night? So, Devin, you're going to come see us one of these days, right?
I sure am. This is my last week of orientation at the hospital, so hopefully I'll be able to make my own schedule and do a trip out.
Well, you know, Astro Flats is on the calendar for December 9th, so keep that in mind.
All right.
All right. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate your time and another great meeting, and wish you all Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you.